Participating after a breakup, most men fall into the same emotional trap. They start chasing. They think that if they just show her how much they care, if they remind her of what they had, or if they promise to change, she'll suddenly realize her mistake and come back. Participating, but that's not how attraction works. The more you chase, the faster she runs. The moment you start pursuing a woman who's already pulled away, you flip the dynamic. You become the one seeking, and she becomes the one avoiding. Participating, that desperate energy repels her because it communicates one powerful message. You've lost your emotional center. You see, attraction isn't built through convincing, it's built through emotional polarity. The calm, participating, grounded energy of a man who doesn't need validation from her to feel complete. When you start chasing, texting, and calling, what you're really saying is, you are the source of my happiness. And once she senses that, she knows she holds power over you. Participating, that's when she pulls back even harder. It's not that she doesn't care. It's that your energy tells her you've lost the strength that once drew her in. When you stop chasing, everything shifts. You stop feeding her ego. Participating, you stop fueling the comfort she feels knowing that you'll always be there no matter how she treats you. Your silence becomes her mirror. Suddenly, she starts to notice the absence, the good morning texts that don't come, the calls that stopped. Participating, the constant reassurance that's now missing. That's when the reality starts to sink in. The man who once gave her everything has gone quiet, and that silence carries weight. It makes her wonder if she misjudged your feelings or your worth. Participating, that curiosity becomes the first seed of doubt in her decision to walk away. The moment you stop chasing, you start shifting the energy back to yourself. You stop giving her emotional power and reclaim your focus. You start to reconnect with your purpose, participating, your goals, your peace. That's what builds masculine strength, not begging, not trying to fix things, but standing firm in your silence. When a man can stay calm in the face of rejection, that calmness speaks louder than any words. Participating, it tells her you are emotionally disciplined, that your world doesn't revolve around her approval. And ironically, that's exactly what reignites her attraction. Because deep down, every woman wants to feel the strength of a man who doesn't lose himself in her. Participating, she may not say it, but she feels it. When you no longer chase, she begins to chase the feeling of being desired by you again. It's not manipulation, it's balance. You are simply allowing the natural law of attraction to do its job. Participating, she see if you'd still stay. When you didn't, she's forced to confront the reality that maybe she lost something real. That realization doesn't come through your words, it comes through your absence. Participating, it's during that silence that her emotions start to unravel. The same nights she once slept peacefully now feel empty. The attention from other men feels hollow because none of it carries your energy. She'll try to distract herself, post more, go out more. Participating, pretend she's moved on, but silence has a strange power. It echoes. The longer you hold your peace, the louder that echo grows inside her. You can't make someone value by chasing them. You make them value by walking away with grace. Participating, when you withdraw your attention, you remove her comfort. She can't measure your emotions anymore, can't read your next move, can't feed her ego with your attention. That's when her curiosity turns into anxiety. Did he stop caring? Participating, is he really gone? And that's the moment the dynamic reverses. The trick isn't to make her come back. The trick is to make yourself so emotionally strong, so grounded that whether she comes back or not, you're still good. Participating, because that's the kind of man she truly respects, the kind of man she eventually chases, the one who doesn't need her validation to know his worth. When you stop chasing her, you stop losing yourself, and that's exactly when she starts missing you. Participating. And that's when the real power begins, not in trying to win her over, but in letting your silence remind her what it feels like to lose a man who knew his value. The trick that makes her beg for you back isn't a line, a move, participating, or some game to play. It's emotional detachment. That's the secret few men ever understand. It's not about pretending you don't care. It's about genuinely reclaiming your peace. Emotional detachment is when you stop reacting to what she does. Participating, when you stop giving her control over your state of mind. It's when you realize your worth doesn't depend on her attention, her texts, or her validation. Most men lose attraction after a breakup because they lose this balance. Participating, they let her distance turn into their panic. They start chasing, explaining, overthinking, and trying to fix something that's already broken. But when you detach, when you stop feeding your emotions with her energy, everything changes. Participating, a woman can feel your attachment. She can sense it even when you don't speak. If your energy says, I need you back, she pulls away. But if your energy says, I'm okay either way, she starts to feel uncertain. Participating, that uncertainty is what creates attraction. It reminds her the man she first fell for, the man who had purpose, confidence, and direction long before she came into his life. Emotional detachment isn't about coldness, it's about control. Participating, it's the calm that comes from knowing that no matter what happens, you'll be fine. And when she feels the calmness, it draws her in because she feels the power behind it. When you detach, you stop living in reaction to her moves. Participating, you stop checking her social media, stop analyzing her words, stop wondering who she's talking to. You focus back on your own world. You start rebuilding your routine, your focus, your health, your vision. That energy shift is magnetic. Participating, it's like gravity. She can feel it even if she's miles away, because the more you focus on you, the less she feels your chase and the more she starts to feel your absence. And that absence makes her think. Participating, what if he's really done with me? That thought alone starts to break through her pride. Emotional detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop clinging. It means you accept reality as it is, not as you wish it to be. If she left, let her. Participating, don't resist it. Don't argue with it. When you accept the loss without falling apart, you communicate a strength most men never reach. That strength is rare and it stands out. Because while other men are sending paragraphs or begging for closure, participating, you're silent, you're steady. You've learned that silence is louder than any confession. That composure tells her something powerful, that she no longer has control over your emotions. And that's what shifts everything. Women don't chase men who beg. Participating, they chase men they can't control. They are drawn to strength, mystery, and peace. When you detach, you embody all three. You become the version of yourself she never thought she'd lose, the one who didn't need her, the one who could walk away with dignity. Participating, she starts to remember how it felt when you were calm, confident, and in your element. The version of you that doesn't need her is the version that made her fall in love, and when she sees that man again, through your silence, through your peace, participating, through your growth, she feels that old connection stirring back up. The trick isn't about doing something to get her attention, it's about becoming someone who doesn't crave it. Participating. Emotional detachment makes you magnetic because it shows her that your happiness doesn't depend on her. And that's when her mind starts to turn. She wonders if she made a mistake, if you've moved on, if she's been replaced. Participating, that's when she starts checking your profile, asking mutual friends about you, or finding excuses to reach out, because suddenly she's the one who feels off balance. When you master emotional detachment, you regain your power. Participating, you stop trying to fix things that were never yours to fix. You stop trying to control outcomes that are beyond your reach. You focus on what you control yourself. And that self-control radiates confidence. It makes you stand out. It makes you untouchable. Participating, because the man who doesn't chase, the man who doesn't break, the man who stays calm in the storm, that's the man every woman eventually misses. So the trick isn't to make her come back. It's to become the version of yourself who no longer needs her to. Participating, and when you reach that point when your peace means more to you than her attention, that's when she'll start chasing what she thought she could walk away from. After heartbreak, most men stay stuck in the same emotional loop, thinking about what went wrong, participating, replaying the memories, wondering how to fix it. But the truth is, you don't get her back by convincing her, by chasing her, or by proving your worth through words. You get her attention again by becoming the man she thought she couldn't lose. Participating, the version of you that was focused, confident, and full of life before the relationship is the one she fell for. Somewhere along the way, that man got buried under attachment, overthinking, and fear of losing her. Now, participating, your mission is to bring him back, not for her, but for you. When you go through a breakup, you can let it break you or you can let it build you. You can sit there waiting for her to realize your value, participating, or you can become so focused on your purpose that she has no choice but to notice the change. The irony is women don't fall back in love with words, they fall back in love with growth. When she sees that the pain didn't destroy you, that it refined you, participating, something inside her shifts, because it's not about revenge or pretending to move on, it's about genuinely becoming the man you were always meant to be. When you stop focusing on what she's doing and start focusing on yourself, your energy transforms. Participating, you start investing time in your body, your goals, your craft, your peace. You get sharper, calmer, more magnetic. You start carrying yourself differently, not because you're trying to show her, but because you've started to remember who you are. Participating, that's the kind of growth that can't be faked. You can't act like you've moved on if your mind is still attached. You have to rebuild from the inside out. You have to become grounded in who you are so that even if she comes back, participating, she's returning to a man who no longer needs her validation to feel whole. She'll feel that change long before she sees it. Women are naturally intuitive. They can sense when your energy shifts. When you stop chasing, when you stop checking her social media, participating, when you stop sending those small signals of desperation, she'll feel it. And that's when her curiosity begins. What happened to him? Did he finally move on? Is he seeing someone else? That curiosity turns into intrigue. Participating, and that intrigue is the beginning of her regret. Because the man who once made her feel secure has now become a mystery again. That's the power of evolution. It's not about proving her wrong. Participating, it's about living in such a way that you no longer need to prove anything at all. You've built your peace, your strength, your identity back up. And that kind of man becomes magnetic without trying. Participating, the same woman who once took you for granted now feels the energy shift. You're no longer emotionally available in the way you once were. You're busy building, growing, and living. And the more you focus on that, participating, the more she begins to see the difference between you and everyone else she encounters. She'll compare the calmness you used to bring to the chaos she feels now. She'll notice that no matter how much attention she gets, it doesn't fill the same space. Participating, because your growth didn't just change your appearance or your habits, it changed your energy. You no longer chase, you attract, you no longer seek, you select that level of peace, that silent confidence. Participating draws her in stronger than any message or call ever could. You become a man who doesn't talk about what he's going to do. He simply does it. You become someone who doesn't try to make her see your worth because your life already reflects it. Participating, and that's when she feels it, the shift from control to curiosity, from pride to longing. She starts missing the man she thought she could replace, because now that man has risen beyond the version of himself she left behind. Participating, that's the real trick. After heartbreak, it's not manipulation or chasing, it's transformation. You don't wait for her to realize what she lost, you give her no choice but to. Because when she sees your silence backed by growth, participating, when she sees your strength wrapped in peace, she won't just miss you, she'll wish she never let you go. She can't miss you if you don't disappear. That's the truth most men can handle after a breakup. They keep themselves visible, participating, thinking that being around, staying in contact, or showing they still care will somehow remind her of what they had. But what it actually does is remove all emotional distance. She can't feel the lust if you never allow her to. Participating, when you're still watching her stories, liking her posts, replying to her updates, or even checking in under the excuse of just making sure you're okay, you're not giving her the space to miss you. You're feeding her comfort. Participating, and as long as she feels your presence, she'll never feel your absence. The reason silence works so powerfully is because it forces contrast. When you vanish completely from her world, no calls, no texts, participating, no reactions, she starts to experience the emptiness that your presence once filled. At first she might not feel much. She'll distract herself with friends, attention, or social media validation. She'll tell herself she's fine, but as time passes, participating, the emotional noise starts to fade, and that's when the void begins to whisper. She'll start noticing the small moments when you used to reach out, the times she'd get a text, the good morning message, the reassurance, the attention. And suddenly, participating, those moments aren't there anymore. Your silence becomes a question in her mind. Why hasn't he reached out? Did he really move on that easily? Was he pretending all along? Those thoughts begin to echo. Participating, the same woman who once thought you'd always be around starts to feel uneasy because she can't read you anymore. She doesn't know where you stand, and that uncertainty creates tension. It's the kind of tension that pulls her focus back toward you, participating when she tries to fight it. The mind always returns to what it can't understand, and your silence becomes the mystery she can't solve. Participating, disappearing isn't about playing games, it's about respecting your value enough to remove yourself when you're no longer wanted. It's about understanding that your attention is a privilege, not something to be handed out endlessly. When you go quiet, participating, you reclaim your dignity, you stop explaining yourself, you stop proving, you stop chasing, you let her see what life actually feels like without you in it. And trust me, that realization doesn't come overnight, it creeps in slowly. Participating, often when she least expects it, it'll hit her during quiet moments. When she's scrolling late at night and sees something that reminds her of you, when a song comes on that once played in your car. Participating when she laughs with someone else but doesn't feel the same warmth she felt with you. It's in those moments that the silence becomes unbearable, because silence isn't emptiness, it's a mirror. It forces her to confront what she lost, participating what she took for granted, and what she can't replace. Most men break this power by giving in too soon. They mistake her temporary silence for disinterest and start reaching out again. But the truth is, silence takes time to work. Participating. It's not meant to manipulate her. It's meant to reset your energy. It's meant to help you gain control and show through your actions, not your words, that you're not waiting around for her to change her mind. When you stay silent long enough, participating, something powerful happens. You stop checking her updates. You stop wondering if she misses you. You start living again. And that shift, that calm is what she eventually feels. The moment you stop chasing, she starts feeling your absence. Participating. The moment you stop giving her emotional attention, she starts craving it. The silence creates scarcity, and scarcity breeds value. She starts remembering your stability, your energy, your presence. And when she realizes no one else gives her that same feeling, participating, she begins to chase the very thing she once ran from. So don't be afraid to disappear. Don't be afraid to go silent, because silence isn't weakness. It's the loudest message you can ever send. It says, participating, I value myself enough to walk away from anything that doesn't value me. And when she finally understands that message, that's when she begins to miss you the most. When a woman leaves, she expects you to fall apart. She expects to see you broken, lost, participating, and desperate to prove your worth. That's how most men react. They spiral. They start posting out of emotion, chasing validation, or showing their pain in hopes that she'll notice and feel guilty. But that never works. Participating, what does work? What truly shifts everything is your glow up. Now, the fake kind done to get her attention, but the real transformation that happens when you decide to rebuild yourself from the ground up. Participating, that's the moment you stop being the man who lost her and become the man she'll never forget. Your glow up isn't about trying to make her jealous. It's about redirecting all that energy you once gave her into yourself. You start waking up earlier, participating, training harder, working smarter, dressing better, and speaking with more confidence. You pour your effort into becoming the kind of man who no longer needs external validation. And when you start walking with that quiet confidence, people notice. Participating, the world starts responding differently to you, and eventually so does she. Because the man she left behind is gone, the man standing now is unrecognizable. That transformation is powerful because it flips the emotional balance. Before, she was in control, participating. She had your attention, your emotions, your focus, but now your attention belongs to your purpose. You're not chasing her, you're chasing growth. You're not asking her to see your worth. You're living in a way that makes it undeniable. Participating, and when she sees that, even from a distance, it stirs something inside her. It's not just curiosity, it's confusion. She starts to question everything she thought she knew. She thought leaving would make you weaker, but it made you stronger. Participating, she thought you'd need her to move forward, but you became better without her. That contradiction messes with her pride. Your glow up becomes the trigger because it reminds her of the version of you she first fell for. The confident, grounded man with direction, participating. But now you're even stronger than before, and that scares her because you no longer belong to her emotionally. You've reclaimed your power. You've taken back everything you gave away. She'll notice your silence, your peace, participating, and your progress in that combination will keep her thinking. You're not angry, you're not bitter. You've simply evolved. And that calm, steady energy will start to haunt her. Participating, it's not the photos you post or the attention you get that make her regret losing you. It's your peace. It's your self-control. It's the way you move forward without needing closure, without looking back. Participating, that's the kind of strength most people can't ignore. You become a mirror that reflects everything she lost, everything she took for granted, and everything she can't find anywhere else. She'll remember your presence, the calmness in your energy, participating the way you made her feel understood. But now that energy is no longer available to her. It's focused inward, and that realization stings more than any words could. The glow up works because it's not about her, it's about you. Participating, it's about falling in love with your own life again, about building a future so fulfilling that her absence no longer feels like a loss. When you reach that place, when your peace outweighs your desire to prove anything, participating, that's when she starts chasing the feeling of being near you again. Because women are drawn to strength, to calm, to confidence. When you radiate those things naturally without trying to show off, it becomes irresistible. Participating, and that's when she starts coming back, not because you asked, but because she feels the pull. Your silence made her curious, your growth made her regretful, and your peace made her crave your presence again. That's the real power of the glow up. Participating, it's not revenge, it's not manipulation, it's transformation. It's showing that your happiness doesn't depend on her, it depends on you. So keep growing, keep evolving, keep building your life into something that reflects your strength. Participating, because when you rise in silence, she will always feel it. And by the time she realizes what she lost, you'll be standing so tall in your peace that she'll have no choice but to chase what she once took for granted. Participating, the most powerful moment in any man's life after heartbreak is when he finally understands that he doesn't need her anymore. That's a real turning point. Not the day she leaves, not the night you break down. Participating, not even the moment she starts missing you. The true shift happens when your peace matters more than her presence. When you no longer look at your phone hoping she'll text, when her name doesn't trigger emotion. Participating, when your happiness no longer depends on her attention, that's when everything changes. Because in that moment, you've taken your power back. At first, this seems impossible. You go through the waves of missing her, wondering what she's doing. Participating, replaying conversations in your head. You imagine her moving on and feel that sting of jealousy deep in your chest. But over time, as you focus on yourself, something begins to shift. You start to see how much energy you wasted trying to keep her. Participating, how much of yourself you gave away just to be seen. You realize she wasn't your peace, she was your distraction. And as you grow stronger, that truth sets you free. The woman who once held your emotions no longer has that control. Because now, participating, you found something deeper, your purpose, your focus, your mission. You start living for something bigger than her approval. You stop living in reaction to her actions, whether she's with someone else, posting online, or pretending she's happy. Participating, none of it touches your peace anymore. That's emotional mastery, that's power. Because while she's out there trying to fill the void with noise, you're quietly building a life that doesn't need her in it. When she senses that shift, participating, she feels it immediately. The energy she once fed on, your attention, your emotions, your validation is gone. You've gone silent not because you're playing a game, but because you've outgrown the need to be heard. Participating, your calmness speaks louder than any message could, and deep down she starts to feel the loss, not because she wants control again, but because she realizes she can no longer affect you. A woman starts chasing not when you pull away physically, participating, but when you disconnect emotionally, that's when she starts to remember the man you were, the strength, the certainty, the presence. Only this time you're even stronger. When you no longer need her, participating, you give her something she can't resist, a sense of mystery. You become unpredictable again, untouchable. She can't figure out where she stands, and that uncertainty draws her in. Because now you're not available at her convenience. Participating, you've reclaimed your energy, you've set standards, you've learned the value of your attention. That kind of self-respect changes everything. It doesn't just make her curious, it makes her question her choices. Participating, she starts comparing what she has now to what she once had with you, and the difference becomes painful. But here's the beauty of it. By the time she starts to feel it, you've already moved on internally. You're not acting indifferent. You are indifferent. Participating, you're genuinely at peace with the outcome. You don't need closure. You don't need validation. You don't need her to realize your worth because your growth, your calm, and your silence already speak for you. That's what makes you powerful. Participating, the man who can walk away and stay silent, not out of anger but out of inner strength, is the man who commands respect. And when that happens, the dynamic completely reverses. She starts thinking about you more than you think about her. Participating, she starts wondering if you've met someone else, if you've moved on, if she still has a chance, but you're no longer seeking answers. You've already found them within yourself. You don't crave her anymore. You crave peace. You don't chase emotions. Participating, you chase purpose. That shift in focus, what makes her feel what you once felt, the longing, the uncertainty, the desire for connection. When a man stops needing a woman, he becomes free, and freedom is magnetic. It radiates through your words, your posture. Participating, your energy. You're no longer fighting for love. You're living from strength. And that's exactly when she realizes the truth. The man who once needed her is gone, replaced by a man who's found himself. Participating, that realization doesn't just make her miss you, it makes her chase you. But by then, you'll understand something even deeper, that the real victory was never about getting her back. It was about getting yourself back.